Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Wilson. I am the USC Project Administrator for the 2020 Greater Los Angeles Youth Count. Today we'll be going over our Youth Count Surveyor training and learning how to conduct surveys out in the community with our young people during our Youth Count from January 22nd through January 31st. The first component of the training that we'll be going over is what is the Los Angeles Youth Count. The youth count is part of the largest homeless count in the country, and it helps provide an estimate of how many unaccompanied minors and transition-age youth are experiencing homelessness on any given night throughout the LA continuum of care. This includes all of Los Angeles County with the exception of Glendale, Pasadena, and Long Beach. The component of the youth count survey that you'll be assisting with is the unsheltered count, which includes unsheltered young persons under the age of 25 experiencing homelessness. These folks include unaccompanied minors, transition-age youth, and young families. Data on sheltered young persons under the age of 25 are collected through a separate effort. As a result, we are not surveying those in housing, emergency shelters, transitional housing, safe havens, or those using vouchers. Unsheltered youth tend to be found in larger groups and may not be as easily identified as homeless, so your role in this effort is crucial. The reason why Youth Count is so important is because it supports the community by bringing in resources, funding, advocacy, and awareness to work towards ending and preventing youth homelessness. With the support of our many Youth Count partners, some of whom are shown on the screen, and many of our volunteers and young people, we can all work towards creating awareness around the needs of our youth community. Some things to note before Youth Count Week begins is to make sure to sign up for one of the 4 available shifts between January 22nd and the 31st. Shifts include 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., and 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also, please be mindful of what day your Blitz Day will occur on, which is when all our providers will try to survey as many young people as possible. If you're unsure of who your agency point of contact is or how to sign up for a shift, please feel free to email me at wilsonnj@usc.edu. You can also go to our website, which is layouthcount.com, to view all our available training videos to add to refreshers of how to conduct a youth count survey. Also, please plan on wearing comfortable attire in order to conduct surveys in the community during Youth Count Week. The definition that we will be going on in order to conduct youth count surveys is the definition of unsheltered homelessness provided to us by the Housing and Urban Development. Although this definition may differ from what service providers consider to be a young person's homeless status, we have to be mindful of it in order to conduct youth count surveys this year. The definition is as follows: an individual or family with a primary nighttime residence that is a public or private place not designed for or ordinarily used as a regular sleeping accommodation for human beings. This includes a car, park, abandoned building, bus or train station, airport, or camping ground. This next slide is titled Our Youth Count Terminology Review. As we go through this training, we may use acronyms or words or phrases that you're unfamiliar with. Please stop us, or if we refer to any terminology that you're unsure of, you can access our Youth Count website, which is again layouthcount.com, to look at our terminology review page. Some of the more familiar terminology that we'll be using throughout this training are listed on the page above. As we said, please go to our terminology review page if you have any questions about what any of these terms mean. This next slide is going to be going over what is a youth count surveyor and what is their role as we're going out in the community to survey young people. So a youth count surveyor is able to work in partnership with the team to do the following: approach, engage, and survey. When approaching young people, according to our youth count methodology, we should be approaching young people under the age of 25, which includes TAY-age youth from 18 to 25, unaccompanied minors, and young families. At this stage, we are not making a judgment or assessing their housing experience, but merely attempting to engage that young person to ask the eligibility questions, which will determine whether they fit the HUD definition of homelessness. When engaging young people, Please explain to them who we are, what the survey is about, and that there are eligibility requirements that determine whether they qualify to take the survey and receive compensation. When conducting an actual survey, you want to make sure that take the time between 5 to 10 minutes to survey a young person about their experiences with housing, family, and other demographic characteristics. Engaging someone to take a survey should take no longer than about 10 minutes. Please be patient as participants answer the questions and make sure to wait for the response as we go through the survey. Before you go out to survey, the first thing that you'll want to do is meet your teams. Working in a team is a huge aspect of the youth count. You may work with individuals you have never met before. Just make sure to take the time to exchange contact information. This information is vital when you're out in the field and may be working in pairs and separated from the wider group. Be mindful that you are all there to support each other and share the responsibility of conducting a successful youth count. Your team will be given a set of census tracts to complete on your shift. Agree on a team point person for that shift. This person will be in charge of completing the census tract assessment, which we will go over later, and will support in guiding team members in planning out how to cover what streets and at what time. Team members should not be leaving the group for any reason without notifying one of their team members. Your team lead or agency will be assigning you survey materials prior to your departure to survey. This slide shows you what a census tract map will look like when you go out with your team. A census tract map tells you your service planning area, your census tract number, census tract split, which should be a letter, city density of folks that should be within the census tract, if there are any hotspots, and then the boundary lines of where you should not be serving outside of. Your team lead should support in planning out what to cover and at what time. Please be mindful that not every census tract will be a hotspot tract, and that's okay. These maps include census tracts where we expect young people to be, and also maps that we expect that there will be 0 young people to be surveyed. These maps are still important to be covered fully, meaning every street, via car, or on foot. Having a 0 count is still very important to our youth count process and counting young people in our community. This slide goes over how do you identify potential participants. When we go out to survey young people, we want to make sure we are engaging all young people that appear to be between the ages of 18 to 24, unaccompanied minors, or young families. We are not making a judgment or assessing for someone's housing status in our identification of potential participants. Some other tips for engagement as we're going out into communities and engaging with our young people. Allow the young person you are engaging to take the time to be hesitant. All we want to do is provide that young person with the information they need to make an informed decision about taking a survey. This can include length of time the survey takes. It includes what type of questions may be on the survey. It might include why you are out as a volunteer or as a provider, deciding to participate in the youth count. So feel free to share the agency you're from or why the surveys are being conducted. Remind them that their answers are completely private and will not get them in trouble or result in lack of services from any of the local agencies they may be receiving services from. Overall, the key is to have very clear expectations and giving them as much information as you can so the participant can make an informed decision on whether or not they feel comfortable taking a survey. This next slide goes over folks that may refuse to take a survey or are unapproached to take a survey, but appear to be experiencing literal homelessness. It is a requirement as a surveyor to capture this information in the perceived section at the beginning of the youth count survey. It is vital that we still conduct the pre-survey information for folks that refuse or unapproached, even if we are not conducting a full survey with them, because they are still counted in our final survey numbers. This is one of the most important components of the youth count survey to ensure that we are capturing accurate data. So as a team member, you want to make sure to also remind other team members to include the refusals and unapproached on the pre-survey during our youth count week. Other things to keep in mind: don't take pictures of people or the places they are sleeping in. Don't chase a person if your survey device is taken, and don't give anyone extra money or extra incentive as you are conducting youth count surveys. Once you begin a survey, make sure to listen actively and respectfully without judgment. Be prepared to move to another spot during the survey. Distractions may appear midway through, such as other folks talking in the area or heavy foot traffic. Try not to fill silence or speak when the respondent is talking about the answer to a tough question. Some electronic survey tips. You can view our full Youth Count 2020 survey instrument training on layouthcount.com. Prior to entering the field, make sure your device is fully charged and that the survey is downloaded and opens properly. Unlike the paper survey, the electronic survey has skip patterns embedded within the survey, so you don't have to worry about ensuring that someone is eligible, as the tablet will let you know. However, you may need to use a paper response card with both the paper survey and the electronic survey for the sensitive questions around gender, sexuality, and other sensitive questions. Survey components. There are 4 different components for our survey that include the pre-survey, screening questions, the survey questions themselves, and the post-survey where you'll input the gift card information and the status of the survey. The pre-survey includes geographic information. Ideally, you'll want to fill out the pre-survey before approaching a potential participant. It will take you a few moments to answer the pre-survey questions, so keep this in mind when you're approaching an individual to survey. If there are potential participants waiting to be surveyed after you've just conducted a survey, you should keep your device and answers out of view and ask if they could give you a moment as you set up the new survey. In this information, you'll want to provide the service planning area, census tract, and split code, all which will be provided to you on your census tract map, as well as the location and intersection of where you are conducting the survey, whether or not you are conducting a paper survey, which will be no if you're doing it on a tablet, or if you're at a drop-in center, which will be no if you're conducting surveys out in the community. Also part of the pre-survey, you will want to input your initials. That means the initials of you, who are the person that is conducting the survey, and perceived characteristics. This is your opinion of how this person appears: age, gender, ethnicity, race, and other signs of mental health, substance use, and physical health conditions. The next part of the survey will ask if you approached the individual and if you were able to proceed to take the survey. Select proceed with the survey if you get a positive response. Select refuse if you were immediately refused without getting to read the confidentiality agreement, and select no unapproached if you saw someone you perceived as homeless but you were not able to survey in your census tract for any reason. Make sure to read out the full confidentiality agreement so that the participant knows their rights as a participant. Read the whole statement and select yes and continue with survey if they respond affirmatively. The next few questions will determine the eligibility of the participant to continue to take the full 10-minute survey. The first question will be, what is their date of birth? If they are over the age of 25, the tablet will let you know and stop you at that point in the survey. The next questions will ask about their shelter status. It will ask, where have you spent most of your nights in the last 30 days? If the respondent chooses any of the following, which are listed in the red box, they are not qualified to take the survey at that time. The follow-up question will ask where they spent last night in addition to where they had spent the majority of the last 30 days. After they answer that question, the follow-up question will be, we are interested in understanding how much you traveled throughout the day and night. We know you are here now, but what city, neighborhood, or community were you sleeping in last night? You can answer this question as same as survey location. If they know the community or city, there will be a drop-down menu. If they know the zip code, or they can identify the area that they were sleeping in by spa. Once their eligibility has been determined, the survey will let you know the participant is eligible to complete the full survey. Then you will ask for their initials and input them in the box provided. The next set of questions will ask about their gender identity, transgender identity, and sexual orientation. Please read out the text in red, which allows them to know that the next few questions are personal or sensitive in nature. You can also utilize your response cards for these questions. if a participant would rather point to the number on the response card for either their transgender identity or sexual orientation. This slide goes over the question on race or races and identification as Hispanic or Latinx. You'll indicate what race or races they identify with, along with whether or not they identify as Hispanic or Latinx. The following questions will ask about family members. The first question asks if they live with a partner or spouse. If they indicate yes, it'll ask how old their partner or spouse is. The secondary question will ask, do you or your partner or spouse have any children under the age of 18 currently living with you in your household? This will be indication if they receive a single participant incentive or a family participant incentive. The next slide shows our communities list, which will support in filling out the question regarding what community the participant slept in the night before. And finally, being mindful before handing over the gift card to restate to the participant that the responses they provided do matter and are important in understanding the size and scope of youth homelessness in their communities. You can check in with the participant and thank them again for their time. For the last section of the survey, you'll want to input the last 4 digits of the gift card incentive that you'll be giving to an individual participant. If you are allocating a family gift card, that will be 2 gift card numbers of the last 4 digits that's written on the back of each card. You'll write and indicate on the tablet that yes, the gift card was given out to the participant. You'll have the respondent's initials in the box on the upper right hand corner, and then you'll have the respondent sign their signature. You'll also want to make sure to put the gift card number, respondent initials on the paper gift card log as well. Some final survey reminders: just make sure you are understood, speak clearly, and make sure you present the questions exactly as they are written on the survey instrument. Make sure that you're comfortable with the phrasing of the questions before you begin surveying in the field, and good luck. Here's an example of our gift card receipt log. This is a paper form that you'll need to fill out in conjunction with the tablet receipt form. You'll need to input the last 4 digits of any gift card that you give out to a participant, including the individual's initials that the card was allocated to. You'll also want to input the interview date. You will not need to input a signature if you conducted a survey on the tablet and the participant signed their name on the tablet. This is only if for whatever reason you do a paper survey or if there is a malfunction with the tablet where you cannot input the gift card number and the participant cannot sign. Our paper survey should be utilized as a backup secondary option if your tablet or mobile device is not usable. If you do need to fill out a paper survey, please make sure to also fill out the corresponding pre-survey form, which gives out the location information about where the survey is conducted and also holds the perceived characteristics of those participants that refuse or are unapproached for any reason. Please notify your team lead when you have completed a paper survey and ensure that it gets back to your local agencies, ensuring that this data will be accurately recorded. The last section of our training will focus on the census tract assessment pilot. This is something that needs to be filled out by 1 team member on each team that covers the census tract. It will tell USD vital information about whether we need to revisit a tract, whether a tract was fully covered, or if there are any safety concerns or other important information about the area. 1 person on each team must fill out the assessment at the end of covering every tract. The questions include what SPA and census tract your team covered, who your survey team consisted of, what survey was your census tract canvassed for, the time of day you started and ended canvassing your census tract, if you observed any encampments, if you were able to cover the entire census tract, if no, why not, and if you were able to cover all of your hotspots, if no, why not. The final question will ask how many gift cards you gave out in your census tract, along with providing any additional information you would like to report back to the coordinator. After finishing this step, you should be done with covering your census tract and can move on to the next area. Thank you all so much for participating in our 2020 Youth Count. Please feel free to contact us at laYouthCount.com or contact me, Nicole Wilson, the project administrator at wilsonnj@usc.edu with any questions or concerns. Thank you all so much.